To approve our big box.
Okay. He's out or she's out?
This week on vacation. That's what I was told this morning.
Okay. So when they return, how long does it normally take them to approve?
Last time it took them months to approve. I suspect it won't take that long this time. But I don't know their processes. Not as well as they do, obviously. So, but at this point, that's all we're waiting on. I have the certificate of insurance. I just need the approval. Then I go into their permitting system, select the 4 poles, and then we're ready to go. Our contractors have already surveyed the sites last week. They were ready to go. We were hoping we could get up the poles last week, pending this approval, but that's just not the case.
So another week for
More
when
than-
the engineer returns.
I hope.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Is Christina Douglas, Attorney Douglas, here? Are your parents with you?
Yes.
Did you ask them to come up with you? I know that your appointment has been postponed, but I wanted to tell you thank you for stepping into the lion's den to go in and take on this task for no additional money, but to get the experience in order to better our city. So I want you to know, one Jaguar to another, that I'm so proud of you for stepping in and doing this. But it speaks to the integrity of what you have in representing the city of Shreveport, that you want to see our city better. And it's always happy to see our young people taking that step, especially into government, because it's nothing ever easy about government. Oftentimes it's a slow process, but your willingness to do this speaks to the integrity of who you are as an individual, and I just want to commend your parents on doing an excellent job.
Thank you.
Thank you. Also, Christine, I'd just like to say congratulations and thank you for volunteering for this awesome job, and it just speaks of the type of person you are, and keep up the good work.
Thank you.
All right.
And keep that smile you got.
Any other council member? Mr. Whitehorn, you have any recognitions of distinguished guests today?
The mayor will have some tomorrow.
Thank you. Does any members have any concerns for property standards? Mr. Harris is here today. Mr. Harris, you can come forward. Anyone have any questions for Mr. Harris? Anyone?
Thank you for the response on your borough. I know we're going through the whole legal process in order to go over and get that clean, so I appreciate you for that.
You're welcome.
I'd also like to thank you all for cleaning up at the corner of 70th Street and Jewella, and that dollar store as well.
Yes.
Apparently you all have given them enough citations. They're keeping the parking lot clean and the dumpster full. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Anyone else? Thank you, Ms. Harris. Will there be a renewal revenue collection plan implementation report tomorrow?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Mr. Whitehorn, will there be any legislation added tomorrow?
None that I'm aware of, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Today we will hear public comments on non-agenda items as well as agenda items. You will have 3 minutes to speak. The vice chair will control the names in the call.
I don't think we had.
Do we have any?
I didn't have anyone.
We don't have any? Thank you. We will have executive appointments to be considered tomorrow. There are no items on the consent agenda to be adopted, to be introduced today. Mr. Whitehorn, would you proceed with regular agenda legislation, please?
Resolution 110, authorizing the marshal of the city court of Shreveport to receive in addition to the salary paid to him by the city of Shreveport the same fees as are payable to constables of justice of the peace courts, up to 50% of the salary paid by the city of Shreveport. Resolution 126, approving a modification to an annual payment in lieu of tax in accordance with a memorandum of understanding between the Shreveport Home Mortgage Authority and SPC Development LLC. Resolution 127, authorizing the city of Shreveport, Louisiana purchasing agent to reject all bids received for SB2 Gray Base Rock, bid number IFB number 22-068. Resolution 128, authoring the proposed health benefits plan renewal option for 2023, approved by the Healthcare Trust Fund Board on September 30, 2022. Resolution 129, recognizing Project Celebration for its work to prevent and to assist the victims of domestic violence, to support Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and otherwise providing with respect thereto. Resolution 130, to recognize October 2022 as Breast Cancer Awareness Month in the city of Shreveport, and to recognize the Real Men Wear Pink campaign in their fight against breast cancer. Resolution 130, declaring October 14th through 16th, 2022 as Prize Port in the city of Shreveport in honor of Prize Fest 2022, a film, food, music, fashion, and comedy festival.
Are there any questions or comments on any of these items? If not, Mr. Whitehorn, would you
I do.
proceed? Okay, Councilman.
On Resolution 128, because I do have questions regarding the health insurance plan, hours, and then what it is proposed, then maybe the administration can answer some questions for me regarding the health insurance that we're looking to propose versus what we have on the agenda right now from the council. And so what I need to know, which are some questions that individuals who are affected by health insurance want to know, and is what is the proposed plan for our city employees and the retirees? And we could take them one at a time on the questions that we have, or whoever it is that's going to respond. Please do so by coming to the mic. Is it gonna be you, Casey, or somebody else?
It'll be our consultant, Ms. Grady Morrison,
Okay.
and Brad Balkhouse from Blue Cross if necessary.
Okay.
I'm not sure if I'm following the questions though.
I want to have clarity on our health insurance plan.
Okay.
And I think it's the same thing it is for the employees and the retirees. So we'll get a better understanding of what the plan is, what is covered, just as
Okay.
simple as black and white.
Okay.
Mr.
Ms. Grady,
Grady?
could you come up?
Who's coming? Miss Grady, okay. I'm sorry.
I had a few sheets of paper. I don't know if she wants to look at those, or do you want
Do
to?
you wanna
Do you want to pass
give
them out?
to Ms. Bowden, and she can pass them around.
These are just some pages of what was presented to the Healthcare Trust Fund Board.
Okay.
Did you want to put them on the screen too, or is that?
We can, or I have more copies if people want the copies. I think we have enough copies to go around if people want to share. What do you want to do?
Okay.
Or we can put them on the screen.
We can pass them out too. Chief Smith, could you assist with getting those done?
And I know it's confusing.
Yeah.
And it- So do you want to ask questions, or do you want me to walk through these?
No,
few-
I'm gonna ask you a question.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay. So tell me, what is the proposed plan for city employees and retirees in the simplest manner that you can
Okay.
explain it?
The proposed plan, the one that was approved by the Healthcare Trust Fund, is on the third page
Okay.
of this. And if you will see, the first two columns are what the current plan looks like. And the current plan has two tiers, which is normal. You know, most everybody's has in-network and out-of-network. So
Okay.
that's what the city had before, its actives and its retirees. And you'll see there are two plans here. The top one is called a $750 PPO, and the second one is a $2,000. And we call it a high deductible plan just because it's higher than the $750. And so you'll see the $750 deductible. What's proposed for this year is a three-tier plan, which is somewhat new, but it puts those, again, based on how Blue Cross negotiates with them, it puts those in a different tier based on their rates with Blue Cross.
Okay.
So you'll see tier one, instead of being $750, is now $500 deductible.
Okay.
And $4,000, actually, the max out-of-pocket for both tier one and tier two is both $4,000. And the Blue Connect network is tier one. We've written major providers. The major providers in tier one for the city of Shreveport are Ochsner LSU and Christus, but there are others in tier one. The major one in tier two, which would be in the PPO, is Willis Knighton, but there are a lot of other providers in that one as well.
Okay.
So, so the second tier is Willis Knighton and others, and they have, for the most part, the exact same benefits that the city and the retirees have right now.
Okay.
Except, you'll see in red that $400.
Mhm.
The emergency room on that first plan went up by 50 for the second tier and went down by 50 for the first tier.
Okay, my second question. Will city employees and retirees who utilize the Willis Knighton Health System still have their doctors?
Yes,
No changes, they will have that without penalty, correct?
correct. Without these rates that are right here.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Has Willis Knighton agreed to the Medicare Advantage plan?
They have not.
Okay, so what happens to those individuals with the Medicare Advantage plan that's in the proposed plan right now? What's gonna happen with those particular retirees?
Yeah, so that's already been approved, so that's not something that's up for approval today.
Okay.
But what happens, Willis Knighton is seen as out-of-network, but as an out-of-network provider, again, that, I didn't bring the Medicare Advantage plan since it had already been approved.
Okay,
But out-of-network, but they still would get paid 100% of Medicare. So if the doctor wants to take that plan, the Willis Knighton provider, they can and get paid the same amount they're getting paid right now on the Medicare Advantage plan.
okay, but if they don't have the Medicare Advantage plan, since Willis Knighton does not accept this Medicare Advantage plan, then it would be considered out of network, correct?
Out-of-network, but still paid the same way and still no payment due by the employee.
It's gonna be a higher cost and premium
No.
for the individuals that don't have the Medicare Advantage?
Yeah, so the Medicare Advantage plan is probably, it will cost them about $50 a month if they want that plan.
Okay,
This plan, the $750 plan, is about $200. So there's about $150 savings if if a retiree that is Medicare primary wants to take the group Medicare plan.
okay, because I know that that has been a big issue with retirees,
Yeah.
with that.
Yes, so the other option, so again, they can take these plans that they've had, so they don't have to take the Medicare Advantage plan.
Okay.
They don't have to take it. The other thing that we're doing is if they want to try the Medicare Advantage plan, if they want to sign up for it and then go and see their doctors and see if their doctors will take the plan, they can try it. If they don't take it, they can come back and get back on one of these plans. Again, they would have to increase their premiums. They'll have 3 months to do that.
Okay,
So if within the first 3 months, they go to the doctor says, no, I'm not going to take this, they call us, we put them back on one of these plans.
all right. how much is it going to cost city employees, not the out-of-pocket expense, but as far as their premium monthly? So we say it's 5% increase in premiums that they're going to be hit with. Do we have a roundabout figure? Are there stats to go and show what those particular costs are going to be? Because most important, again, with individuals with health insurance is the relationship between the doctor and the patient. Am I going to be able to maintain my doctor, and what is this going to cost me out of pocket and monthly? Because you want to make sure that you have a premium that you're going to be able to afford.
Yeah, yeah, so taking a $200 premium, you got more rates for me?
Yeah, that's the 5%
Um,
that you presented in the healthcare.
Yeah, so originally, an active was, and I was going to use the example of 200, but an employee-only active is 180, was $180 right now. Their new rate is $189. Again, a 5% increase, about $9. So for most, it's about a $10 increase for employee-only.
All right, all right.
And that's monthly.
And that's monthly. So do we have a Q&A for our employees on these questions and answers that they have? Because a lot of what we have is confusing. When you talk about $700,000 discount and this discounted, no one really understands that, but that's for us.
Right.
For the individual who receives the insurance, it needs to be the bottom line. I need to know their retirees are able to go to their doctors that they have the relationship with, and it's not going to be an enormous cost. Same thing for the city employees. Need to know that they are able to receive, because I see in the 3-tier plan that we have, it covers all of our major hospitals, correct?
Yes, and it covers more than that.
Okay. And whatever else is affiliated with that on the provider list?
Yeah, yeah. Surgery centers, urgent care centers, doctors, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Majority
right
of
now,
it-
we don't have a Q&A. We've got a benefit guide. Again, we don't get into
Right.
a lot of these details. We're having individual meetings with each of the departments in the city. Those would start after we pass final approval. There are going to be 4 retiree meetings that will be held, that will send out a letter once we get approval for them to show up for those meetings. And then, again, there are educational pieces that go with all of those.
So let's go back to the Blue Connect.
Okay?
On the Blue Connect, with this particular plan, is it going to encompass all of Willis-Knighton doctors and subsidiaries, or no? Because sometimes I'll take myself, for example. Blue Connect under the health insurance plan, under the health insurance marketplace network.
Right.
It did not cover all Willis-Knighton doctors.
Won't cover any.
Okay.
So, yeah, so Blue Connect is in this tier 1. So Willis-Knighton is not in Blue Connect. So none of the Willis-Knighton providers are in tier 1. They're under the PPO and tier
Okay.
2 column.
All right.
So in that case, if they want to go to those doctors, you'll see they would pay a $30, which is what they're paying now, versus if they went to tier 1, they'd pay $25.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Ms. Morrison, you and I have had discussions over the past week or so about the legislation that Councilman Butcher, Councilwoman Full, and I have offered, and it's on the agenda today. The premise of that legislation, as I've told you privately, and I want to state for the record, is that Willis-Knighton has committed to the city of Shreveport to provide health care at the same cost and at the same rates as provided for by the Blue Cross of Blue Shield Louisiana's Blue Connect pricing. Has Willis-Knighton made that commitment to you?
Not to me, but they are working directly with Blue Cross, so I would let Blue Cross answer that, or Willis-Knighton.
I'd like somebody with authority to confirm that that commitment has been made, please. And if a Blue Cross representative is here, he could speak to that.
Brad Bachhaus, Blue Cross Blue Shield, Regional Director. The commitment is still in negotiations. There's not been any commitment to any pricing or anything of that nature for them to, in the Blue Connect.
Well, either now or at a later time, I'd like a representative of Willis Knight to advise whether they've made that commitment. We need clarity on this, if you don't mind, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chair, while he's on his way up here, I think the whole premise behind this was that Willis Knighton's, just for background for other council members and the public, that Willis Knighton had committed to meeting the same guidelines as the Blue Connect as far as pricing to the employees, pricing to the city, and then also the cost of, let's say an x-ray is $50 at Oshner's, it would have to be $50 at Willis Knighton. So pricing of the services would also be the same at both facilities. They would just still remain in this PPO. And the only holdup with this legislation, I think, for me and Councilman Nicholson, we've discussed this, is that we have a firm commitment from Willis Knighton and Blue Cross that's going to happen. So I guess I want to hear where the breakdown is and how close we are by tomorrow. I know you've made the pledge to me that that's going to happen, but we need to see it happen.
Because if we don't have it on the record, it all goes away.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I get all that. And we've been working with Blue Cross for the last week. We're at the 11th hour of those discussions. Matter of fact, Mary Jane Ward would be here today, but she's actually speaking to Blue Cross representative to get the final numbers. But it is my intention to honor the deal that I made both of you the last time we talked about it. And I'll have that answer before tomorrow, before the city council meeting tomorrow.
Very good. I appreciate it, Mr. Bitter. We
Yes.
need it before tomorrow. Thank you.
So what's the deal?
That basically they would honor, it would be just exactly like the Blue Connect as far as deductibles, co-pays, co-insurance, and the price that they charge for medical services.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
can I ask a quick question?
Yes, sir.
Because in the conversation I had with Ms. Grady Morrison and Mr. Bachhaus, it was my understanding that they would have to be in Blue Connect, not the same as Blue Connect. Was I wrong on that assumption?
Let's see, so no, they don't have to be in Blue Connect. We can actually do an EPO arrangement
Okay.
and be able to do that. So that doesn't necessarily, they have to accept Blue Connect, be in the Blue Connect network.
Okay.
This would be a one-off for the city of Shreveport.
So it's like when you find a sale at Walmart and you go to Walgreens, they honor the price?
I
Basically.
guess that could be simplified down.
But you got to tell the other piece is that the others will not be able, we won't be able to show the Blue Connect network.
No, that's correct. So the Blue Connect Tier 1 will change totally. It'll flip upside down. Oshner and the other providers that are in Tier 1 now will go to Tier 2 to PPO. We can't have both. We can't have everybody in that Tier 1. So it would flip, and where it would be preferred would be the Willis Knighton Tier 1. Does that confuse y'all even more?
Yeah.
It does
Yeah.
me.
Yes. So there's arrangements set for Tier 1 with the Blue Connect. They've signed a contract. They've said, we take these rates. If you go in and see a doctor, we'll take this rate and we'll charge the city that rate, okay? Well, now the savings of the $700K that's been floating around would be null and void, and they would take Willis Knight would take the negotiated Blue Connect rate, not be in the Blue Connect network, but take the negotiated Blue Connect rate, and they would become the Tiered 1. Oshner and those the Blue Connect would go away. You'd be set up on an EPO arrangement for Tier 1 with Willis Knighton.
What does EPO stand for?
Exclusive.
Exclusive provider organization, yes. Sorry.
So, I guess we're self-funded as far as the insurance goes. I guess my question is, and I think I see it from a business standpoint, that the negotiations were made with Blue Connect and they stand to make more money at this rate. If you throw in the 4 Willis Knighton facilities, they don't stand to make that much money. I mean, that's just kind of the way and it flips it around, like what you said. But since we're self-funded and we're getting the same thing from Willis Knighton, it just, I don't know. It just doesn't really make a whole bunch of sense to me. I mean, I understand what you're saying, I'm following
Right.
you. But it doesn't make a whole bunch of sense to me that we should not be able to offer, because, I mean, regardless of it being confusing and all this other media that's out there, we're still getting phone calls. I think that's why probably Councilwoman Taylor asked those questions. We're still getting those phone calls. And to me, this amendment was a logical way to just keep everything where everybody can understand. And there was one question that was asked, does it penalize the Blue Connect? Does it penalize the people that went to Willis Knighton? And it does to a certain extent, because it does change, even though they're not paying a tremendous amount more from last year, they are still being penalized for not going to Christus or Ochsner's. So they could change their doctors in midstream to save, because like I've said over and over again, when I started with the city in 1994, I was making $1,400 a month. My doctors were not at Willis Knighton, but they had something called Willis Knighton Health Plus, and it was a heck of a lot cheaper than, I think at the time it was Cigna or Blue Cross or something like that. I changed, which I was 24 years old, I changed my whole family. My wife was pregnant with my daughter at the time that we changed, and we had to change OBGYNs, we had to change everything. Now flip it around to these retirees that are on fixed income. Some of them hadn't had a raise since 2002, and the cost of living. I mean, a fireman just died that had been retired for over, Chief, was it 50 years that the guy that just died? I mean, he'd been a retiree for over 50 years. Can you imagine the difference in the deductible? So there is a little bit, I don't want to say that there is not a penalty. It's not much, but there is a little bit of a penalty for going to Willis Knighton. So I guess I'm just, now that we've thrown this in here, so are you saying now that Ochsner's will go up on their prices?
They'll go back to the tier 2.
So how is that fair to them?
This,
Let me ask a question. During this whole process, is this about top of the line insurance and care for our employees, or is it at the end of the day how much money we're gonna make? Not us, but the providers. Is it about good care to make sure that all the employees see their same doctor, that they're not gonna have to be penalized, they're not gonna have to be, or is it the bottom line as to, at the end of the day, at my store over here, how much money I'm gonna make, at this store over here, how much are we gonna make, or is it about the people?
no, I think the providers are able, or the intention is to take care of their patients.
But
What
to
cost
get-
that is, that's negotiated between Blue Cross.
Exactly.
Yes.
So therefore, we want to take care of them, but the bottom line is we want to make sure we get paid.
They don't do it, yes, they don't do it for free, I'll say that, yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so for clarification, because I think I heard something kind of strange and I wanted to pull it back out. If Willis Knighton price matches, according to Councilman Fuller, if they price match and then they shift to tier 1, I know that keeps the price the same for the citizens. Does that change the savings the city is going to receive?
Yes,
Because I think you said that, but I don't think we.
significantly.
Okay.
And that's still in negotiations. That's where the negotiations has to come down to, what's going to fall, what the cost is and everything else, but it would be a significant savings, yes.
And LSU Ochsner goes to tier 2.
That's correct.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Oh, go ahead.
Why can we not have a system that is simply in-network and out-of-network, so that all the in-network providers are treated the same in terms of deductibles and copays, and out-of-network providers are treated differently?
That's what you have now.
Okay.
Currently, you
Why
have that
can't
in
we
place now.
continue
We can have that. We just tried to, I should say, the administration and the Healthcare Trust Fund Board was presented with several options. One back in March by Ochsner Blue Cross and one back in April, Aetna, Willis Knighton. Tiering, trying to save some money, not only the city, but the employees as well and the retirees by copays. And so, yeah, you can stay in the in and out network and keep it PPO, everything be fine. But this was just a unique situation to add a tier one to direct folks by their pocketbook to go to this. It saves not only the member money, it also saves the city money. But if you happen to stay in tier two, nothing changes currently as of 2022 as it is to 2023. For example, Dr. Ease is a Willis Knighton provider. What is this copay? $35 copay is right now. If you went to go see your cardiologist, $35. If you go January 2nd with the tiering program, you're still gonna pay $35. Nothing changes. You go to Dr. Redding right now, who's an Ochsner doctor, cardiologist, you pay $35. Come January 2nd, you're gonna pay $25. Because there's a savings there in the Blue Connect. He gets reimbursed less, and the member, it's kind of a shared savings. The city pays less, and the member pays less on their copays. Now, the member doesn't know about the cost. That's fine. All they're worried about is what's going to come out of their pocketbook when they see the doctor.
Well,
So-
look, if may.
No, go ahead.
Yes, sir, go.
Look, I want to say first for the public that it needs to be very clear that the administration is not proposing and has never proposed a plan that would deprive people of the right to use Willis Knighton doctors. That just didn't happen. And I mean, as recently as this afternoon, we got a letter from a member of the state senate who suggested that was what was going on, and that's just not true. So nobody is trying to take away any employee's right to use Willis Knighton doctors. As the representative of Blue Cross is saying, the plan provides a small financial incentive to use Ochsner or the other tier one providers, and that's what we're talking about.
That's correct.
The reason that Councilman Butcher and Councilwoman Fuller and I offered this legislation is that Willis Knighton, sort of at the 11th hour, has offered, at least to me and to Councilman Butcher in a video call we had him last week, to match the pricing. And this is my high-level, non-healthcare expert view, but it just seems to me that if we've got one major healthcare provider that's willing to provide the same behind-the-scenes pricing as Ochsner and Highland and Christus, or Ochsner and Highland, then we ought to charge people the same, because there's no reason to move people to Ochsner if it's not cheaper for the city. Now, if that commitment doesn't materialize or can't be worked out, then there is a financial reason to maintain this multi-tier system. But if Willis Knighton will provide the pricing that Ochsner has offered to provide, then why should we use copays and deductibles to incentivize employees to use one provider over the other? That's the question on the table.
Yeah, and there's different contracts with different providers, and there's things that we would have to iron out to make sure that, as I think somebody mentioned, is it fair to Ochsner's for this to happen, since they are in our Blue Connect network.
Mr. Chair, just real quick.
Yes.
Mr. Fielder, if you don't mind, I have a question for you. And as Blue Cross has stated, and I understand what they're saying about Ochsner's, they negotiated a price for the tier one. If they let your 4 hospitals in, it changes the pricing due to the fact of what Councilman Green kind of said. I mean, you gotta get paid to do what you're gonna do. Same with y'all. Did you tell me that there is gonna be some savings on the back end from using Willis Knighton because of the number of employees that we have currently using the Willis Knighton system? Did I understand that?
That's the numbers that we're looking for Blue Cross right now, so that we can give those to you tomorrow. But yes, to answer your question, yes. If Ochsner and Christus are reducing their rates to be in tier one right now, and we're agreeing to reduce our rates as well, then your savings is exponential at that point.
Do we have an estimated number?
I don't. That's what we're waiting on right now.
But
But
it
they've
could-
already estimated that they're going to save you $700,000, And we came last meeting telling you that we were offering 700, but now we're even going further to match the Blue Connect rates to give you all three providers on the same tier, or not. You believe them tier one, put us tier two, and call it a Willis-Knighton PPO enhancement, whatever you want to call it. But the bottom line is all three facilities will be paid on the same rate for the same services, so your savings at that point goes up exponentially.
So it could double at least.
Oh, at least.
So you'd be
At
looking
least.
at $1.4 million.
That's a conservative estimate.
But if Oshner's has to raise their prices, and you have to raise your prices, it might cut it down. You see what I'm saying?
Competition makes us all sharper, Councilman. I'll answer you there. So the city wins in all this, assuming they're willing to keep their rates where they are, and we're willing to match them.
Okay. That answers my question. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Dillard.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I'm really confused now.
I am too.
As I listened to what Mr. Barkhouse said, first of all, let me say, we went through a process to get to the tier network. We made some agreements. We voted on it. Now I'm hearing Mr. Barkhouse say that if we agree to the Willis-Knighton plan, which appears to be a great plan, then it pushes Oshner to tier two. And in tier two, those prices are different. So we went through a process to select Oshner, not Oshner, Blue Connect, who's, I guess Oshner would be the provider. We went through a process to get Blue Connect as our tier one. We voted on it at the Healthcare Trust Fund Board. So I don't know if that's considered contractual or not, but it was an agreement. And we've signed documents with Blue Cross consummating some of these agreements. So now we're gonna throw all of that out, so to speak, and my city attorney gonna have to help me with this. We're gonna throw that out of the way. We're gonna take this other agreement that the Healthcare Trust Fund Board has not even talked about, so to speak. And we're gonna push the Blue Connect up to tier two, which is gonna increase the cost for Blue Connect. I think that's what I heard you say. In other words, you can only have one provider in that tier one.
Right.
So if Willis-Knighton, and I'm just asking, can save the employees money, why not just reduce the prices? I don't know.
That's what we're doing, Chief.
I understand, but we pushing, the way it's set up, they're not doing it, but the way it's set up, it requires that move. So I'm really don't understand, I really don't understand what we're doing.
Council Nicholson, you said something about why can't everybody be in this tier, out of network, in network. So basically, the Blue Connect's on the table right now for tier one. And we want to put Willis-Knighton on the same playing field as tier one, which is a Blue Connect. They're not in that network. So you basically have set up 4 different tiers. Tier one being Blue Connect, tier two being Willis-Knighton's EPO arrangement, tier three being in network, and then tier 4 out of network. That is an administrative, that takes a lot of manpower to administer.
Let me just, I want to say out loud what the legislation does so that everybody understands what we've offered. The legislation that we've sponsored does only one thing, okay? It says that the deductibles and co-pays for using tier 2 will be the same as the deductibles and co-pays for tier 1. It doesn't change or attempt to change anything about the back-end pricing, which is the subject of negotiation between Willis-Knighton and the city and Blue Cross.
I'm hearing you say that if the deductibles and copays for Willis-Knighton are the same as the deductibles and copays for Blue Connect, that somehow alters the arrangement with respect to the Blue Connect providers. I don't understand that. Do we have a contract that says if you give Willis-Knighton the same pricing, then we will not give you this pricing? Or what exactly is the reason that we as a self-insured municipality cannot say to our own employees, these will be your deductible and copays for Tier 2, and they will be the same as Tier 1?
Yeah, there's some contractual arrangements that
What
come into play.
specifically are the contractual arrangements?
I'd have to get that answer for you.
Okay. I mean, I
Because
just,
I'd have to look at the details of the contract between, in the Blue Connect versus outside the Blue Connect.
I just don't understand why we would have a contract that says, unless you give us preferential deductibles and copays, we're not gonna give you this pricing. But again, I'm not a healthcare expert, and, you know, to the chief's point, you follow the process to get where we are. But I just wanna, if we can't do that, somebody needs to explain in a way that I can understand and the public can understand why that is.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I just want to make one point real quick. I think we're still in the process, if I'm not mistaken. Is that not right, Mr. Latier?
I'm looking at Grady, because I think she probably can explain it better.
I mean, the way the way that it's written is it comes to us for either nullification or ratification. And we're trying to ratify, we're trying to make something different. So I don't think that I don't think any contract should have been signed yet, because we're not due with the due diligence.
Well, contracts get signed with Blue Cross back when they were approved. I mean, they were approved
Right.
back in July, and that was passed. So yes, some contracts have been signed with them, noting that they're going to be the administrator for 2023. So that's in place.
But as far as changes that we're doing with our own self-funding.
Yeah, that we have not done.
Yeah.
Some of the difficulty comes in, 3-tier plans are fairly new, and, in-network, out-of-network is the norm. And all of these contracts are, of course, administratively difficult. But they figured out a 3-tier, so they can do a 3-tier, and the 3 tiers Blue Connect, and it's people who are in the Blue Connect. And then we've got Tier 2, that yes, Willis-Knighton is a big piece of it, but they're not the only people in Tier 2. So if Willis-Knighton is going to do another contract, but not do Blue Connect, but you want to keep Blue Connect, then you now have a 4-tier plan. And really, there are almost no carriers that can do 4-tier plans. That's just, they can't do them. So, because you would have a Blue Connect, you'd have a Willis-Knighton, you'd have a Tier 2, the PPO, and then you'd have out-of-network. Again, it just...
Why can't the changes that are proposed in this legislation apply to all Tier 2 providers? Right, that they are to the benefit of those Tier 2 providers because they reduce the cost from the employee's perspective to use those providers. They're not going to complain about that.
But keep Blue Connect and then Tier 2.
Just Blue Connect, Tier 2 with
Okay, so-
what we proposed and then out of network.
So now we do have a 3-tier, not a 2-tier.
That's 3 tiers.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I mean, why couldn't we do that?
Again, that's like Brad said, that's a Blue Cross question. And I don't know their contracts with their Blue Connect providers, so.
And just to the point Ms. Morrison made, the agreement we've made with Blue Cross is that it will be the administrator of the city's self-funded plan. That's not
That's
on
right.
the table. This amendment doesn't change that. We're talking about what deductibles and copays are we going to charge our own people for using certain healthcare providers in the city for a self-funded plan. Thank you.
So is Ochsner and Christus able to go back and renegotiate their rates?
That's what they're gonna be asking for.
I'm asking.
Yes.
That's what they're gonna be asking
Is
for.
Ochsner and Christus able to go
They'll
back and
ask.
renegotiate their
Sure,
rates?
they will. They'll
If
ask.
you're doing a tit for tat, and what's gonna be the best price for the employees is my question. Because what I'm just trying to get is clarity for our employees and our retirees of what is going to be matched, and then what is going to be that savings for the city of Shreveport. I want them to be able to receive the best possible care without losing their doctors. That relationship that they have is most important. So we in here and we couponing, then what's your coupon? Double or nothing?
Right.
2 for 1.
Right.
Buy one, get one free. What is it?
Right. That's based on the providers coming back to us saying, hey, Willis Knight got their shot, can we get our shot?
Right. I'm just asking.
Nicholas, you said something about making tier 1 and tier 2 the same benefits. That negates any savings to the city. The $700,000, it negates any savings based on the network and based on the tiering and based on the benefits. All those things come into play to save the city the $700K that's been thrown out there.
Well, the savings to the city come from the back-end rates that the healthcare providers agree to, right?
Yes, but it's based off the benefits
But it's
too.
based on the benefits as well.
Yes, that's how it's negotiated. In actuary, when they come up with this, it's actually a 3% savings. If you implement these benefits, you put it in tier 2, it negates, maybe not all of it, but it negates more than half. Because the benefits are a driver.
But if Willis Knighton's charging in tier 2 $90 for an x-ray, and Oshner's is charging $50 for an x-ray in tier 1, if Willis Knighton agrees, and I'm just talking about hard numbers for the city, and Willis Knighton agrees to go to $50 an x-ray,
Then we got to put up another tier for Willis, especially made for Willis Knighton.
Well, but
But I understand sorry to interrupt.
There's going to be some savings with that. It might not be $700,000, but there's going to be some savings, especially, what is the percentage, and you may be able to tell me, the percentage of employees and then retirees that use the Willis Knighton system now? I've heard all kinds of numbers. I'd like to know, do we have a number on that?
I would say it's 52% Willis Knighton, and the rest is
Split between Oshner's and Chris's?
or more other providers. It's almost 50-50 is what I'm hearing. It's not. That's what studies I've pulled up to look at last year's, the year before claims.
Well, there's got to be a way for y'all to be able to look at the claims and show us, which that's not my job. I'm not getting into that. I guess what my point is if there is a little bit more people going to Willis Knighton, and they're able to save because Willis Knighton goes down on their pricing, then there's going to be some savings. It might not be $700,000, but I think that the whole point is all of us up here want to make sure that all the employees and retirees are able to go to a doctor without, I don't want to call it penalized because it's not, but to some people that money might have to make them change their doctor. I know we're talking about $30, $40 copay, but if you're going once a week to the doctor, that adds up, especially when you're on a fixed income. And so I think all we were doing with this legislation, I want to make it clear, all we're doing is just trying to get it all even. And none of us are experts at this, but this is part of what this process is for us to vet what the Healthcare Trust Board did, because ultimately we're the ones that are answering to the citizens and we're answering to our employees. And at this point, I'm not happy with what the Healthcare Trust Board did. I'll just be honest. I think that this conversation needs to be had. Now, by the time we're done with this conversation, and we're not all able to come to the table and have a little bit of savings and then I may be 100% behind it. But I think we're going through the process right now. So it's not any disrespect to anybody. It's just we're doing what we're supposed to do. So anyway, I've got it in my mind. I don't have any other questions right now. So I understand.
Mr. Chair, keep in mind though, everything everybody's been talking about, we're looking at going into a 4-tier plan.
Correct.
Which is going to cost even more money because we need more manpower to manage a 4-tier plan.
Right.
The way I look at the plan that the Healthcare Board has put on the table is I look at it as a win-win right now for the employees and retirees. If they want to stick with Willis Knighton, they can. It does not cost them a penny more. And the city still benefits the savings. That's the way I look at it. It's a win-win in its current position. If we start making changes and it's switched from Willis Knighton going to a tier 1 because they matched their prices, now we lose those savings, then we have to look at contractual obligations of do we have to offer Oshner a chance to come back to the table, and that draws out the process. Also keep in mind we have a time frame on this. If we don't make a decision on this, then we will possibly lose $3 million again this year to match the $5 million that we lost last year. So I understand people want us to wait. We want to be informed. I look at it in two areas. We're gonna inform the citizens of what their options are. Council has to be informed of what is best for the city as it relates to the city level as far as money savings, but as far as the citizens, which are most important, my reply to them is this. If you want to stick with Willis-Knighton, you can. It does not cost you a penny more. If you want to switch to see what else is out there, there's a potential savings, but you're not forced to. So this allows the citizens to get the best of both worlds.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Councilman Nicholson, you was talking about a memo that the Senate sent us. I didn't get it. What?
Oh, it was a letter from a member of the state Senate.
From a
representing
member
this
of the-
legislation. Yes, Mr. Chairman.
And the letter implied that we were,
The letter suggested that the administration's proposal would prevent employees from using Willis-Knighton, and as I said a moment ago, that's not correct. The administration has not proposed any healthcare plan that would prevent employees from using Willis-Knighton. I think that needs to be very, very clear. I don't want anybody to be scared or concerned that the result of this process will be that they are not able to use Willis-Knighton physicians. That is not going to happen.
so do you think whoever this person is just dreamed that up, or somebody?
I'm very hesitant to
Thank you. I was just checking. I didn't know. Mr. Whitehorn, would you proceed with introduction of resolutions not to be adopted prior to October 25th, 2022?
Resolution 132, acknowledging that the City Council has reviewed the 2021 Internal Municipal Water Pollution Prevention Report concerning the North Regional and Lucas wastewater plants. Resolution 133, authorizing a request to be made to the Louisiana Department of Natural Resources, Louisiana State Mineral and Energy Board to seek public bids for an oil, gas, and mineral lease involving the property located in District G and described herein, and to execute the lease for certain mineral interests owned by the City of Shreveport, and to authorize the mayor to execute any and all documents related to the intent of this resolution.
Any questions or comment on any of these items? If not, Mr. Whitehorn, would you proceed with introduction of ordinance not to be adopted prior to October 25th, 2022?
Ordinance 145, amending the 2022 budget for the general fund. Ordinance 146, amending the 2022 capital projects fund budget. Ordinance 147, amending the City of Shreveport, Louisiana 2022 general fund budget. Ordinance 148, amending the City of Shreveport, Louisiana 2022 solid waste enterprise fund budget. Ordinance 149, amending the 2022 grant special revenue fund budget. Ordinance 150, amending the 2022 general fund budget. Ordinance 151, amending the 2022 general fund budget. Ordinance 152, amending the 2022 airport enterprise fund budget. Ordinance 153, amending the 2022 capital improvements funds budget. Ordinance 154, to amend section 6-67 of the City of Shreveport Code of Ordinances relative to the appeals process for false alarms. Ordinance 155, to amend section 18-261 of the City of Shreveport Code of Ordinances relative to airport zones and regulations for the Shreveport Downtown Airport. Ordinance 156, to amend section 90 of the City of Shreveport Code of Ordinances relative to revenue derived from electronic traffic enforcement process. Ordinance 157, to amend various articles and sections of the City of Shreveport, Louisiana Unified Development Code for the purpose of adding special exceptions, use approval standards for short-term rental properties, with all their provisions included therein.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments on any of these items? Thank you. 2023 budget ordinance to be adopted no later than December the 15th. Ms. Whitehorn, would you proceed?
Ordinance 158, adopting the 2023 Capital Projects Fund budget. Ordinance 159, adopting the 2023 Riverfront Development Fund budget. Ordinance 160, adopting the 2023 General Fund budget. Ordinance 161, adopting the 2023 Retained Risk Fund budget. Ordinance 162, adopting the 2023 Metropolitan Planning Commission Fund budget. Ordinance 163, adopting the 2023 Community Development Special Revenue Fund budget. Ordinance 164, adopting the 2023 Grant Special Revenue Fund budget. Ordinance 165, adopting the 2023 Shreveport Redevelopment Agency Special Revenue Fund budget. Ordinance 166, adopting the 2023 Downtown Entertainment Economic Development Special Revenue Fund budget. Ordinance 167, adopting the 2023 Golf Enterprise Fund budget. Ordinance 168, adopting the 2023 Airport Enterprise Fund budget. Ordinance 169, adopting the 2023 Water and Sewage Fund budget. Ordinance 170, adopting the 2023 budget funding contractual services provided to Sport Tran by Metro Management Associates, Inc. Ordinance 171, adopting the 2023 Downtown Parking Enterprise Fund budget. Ordinance 172, adopting the 2023 Convention Center Enterprise Fund budget. Ordinance 173, adopting the 2023 Convention Center Hotel Enterprise Fund budget. Ordinance 174, adopting the 2023 Debt Service Fund budget. Ordinance 175, adopting the 2023 Solid Waste Enterprise Fund budget. Ordinance 176, adopting the 2023 Street Special Revenue Fund budget. Ordinance 177, adopting the 2023 Diversion Program Special Revenue Fund budget.
Thank you. Are there any questions on any of these items? If not, Mr. Whitehorn, would you proceed with ordinance on second reading and final passage?
Ordinance 109, to amend various articles and sections of the City of Shreveport, Louisiana Unified Development Code for the purpose of updating and revising the regulations for political signs. Ordinance 138, amending the 2022 General Fund budget. Ordinance 139, to amend Section 90-518B of the City of Shreveport Code of Ordinances relative to notices of civil violations. Ordinance 140, to amend Section 90-519B of the City of Shreveport Code of Ordinances relatives to notices of hearings. Ordinance 141, zoning case number 22-122C, an ordinance to amend the official zoning map of the City of Shreveport Unified Development Code by rezoning property located on the southeast corner of East Kings Highway and East 70th Street from R-A Rural Agricultural Zoning District to C-4 Heavy Commercial Zoning District. Ordinance 142, zoning case number 22-146-C, an ordinance to amend the official zoning map of the City of Shreveport Unified Development Code by rezoning property located north side of Pine Hill Road, approximately 570 feet east of Devereaux Road, Shreveport, Cattle Parish, Louisiana, R-1-5, single-family residential zoning district to XR-3, multifamily residential zoning district. Ordinance 143, zoning case number 22-150-C, an ordinance to amend the official zoning map of the City of Shreveport Unified Development Code by rezoning property located southeast corner of Providence Place Boulevard and Chestnut Park Lane, Shreveport, Cattle Parish, Louisiana, R-2 PUD, multifamily residential zoning district to R-2 PUD, multifamily residential zoning district. Ordinance 144, zoning case number 22-162-C, An ordinance to amend the official zoning map of the city of Shreveport Unified Development Code by rezoning property located east side of Lexington Avenue, approximately 110 feet south of Piermont Road, Shreveport, Caddo Parish, Louisiana, R-1-7, single-family residential zoning district to C-1, neighborhood commercial zoning district.
Are there any questions or comments on any of these items? Thank you. If not, Madam Clerk, is there any table legislation to be removed from the table today? Appeals, we have no property standards ABO appeals to consider today. We have no MPC or ZBA appeals to consider tomorrow. Are there any other appeals, Madam Clerk? Are there any reports from officers, boards, committees?
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
the Audit and Finance Committee will meet tomorrow at 1:30 in chambers.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, is there a clerk's report? Executive session, there's none. Is there anything else to come before this body at this particular time?
There's a road show tonight at the Louisiana State Exhibit Museum with state legislators, so we want to talk about the roads, specifically Hearn Avenue, Ford Street, 3132. This is your chance to ask questions. It will be from 6 to 7:30, and questions and answers will be between 7:30 and 8.
Anyone else? Councilman Bowman said if any of you all are interested in eating dinner with him later at the Old Morrison, meet him at 6 o'clock. If nothing else, we'll adjourn.
Is that the one on Old Memory Road? I'll eat at 5:30.
Don't leave. Oh, sure. Okay. Well, I'll wait for you.
I need to hang out with you for a day so I can learn something about you. I need you to listen. I got